Hello and welcome to a very special, it's not quite between the cover today, it is an author training that I'm really excited about giving. Thank you for joining me for 9 ways to gain great or get great press coverage for your book. During this training, I'm going to first of all talk about what getting press is, what PR is, why it's important for authors, and most importantly, how you can maximize your chances of gaining press for your book. And this comes, if you are watching, please do say hello. I can see there's some people watching today. Say hello, let me know what your name is and where you're watching from. There'll also be an opportunity for Q&A at the end as well, but feel free to throw up your questions as I go along. Hey there, Helen, you're in this presentation today. So, in light of our young author gaining viral international press in the space of 7 days, spanning from Ghana News to Yahoo to AOL to Somalia News to all over the UK, as well as Sky TV last Wednesday, which is very exciting. I've been asked quite a lot, how did you do it? How, why is it important to get have news coverage for my book? And how do I get that media coverage? So today, hey Takumba, I'm going to be cracking into the 9 ways of getting press for your book. But if you're watching for the first time, my name is Daniela Blechner. I am an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. We work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful messages and stories out in the form of books. Behind me on the bookshelf is just some of the 300 books that we have published over the last, I think it's 8 years, coming on to 9 years now. So let's crack into it. I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay, brilliant. 9 ways to get great press coverage for your book. On the left-hand side, you can see my amazing mentee. If you haven't been following me, well, if you have been following me, you'll definitely know. 11-year-old Sarah Keto, who wrote her 4th book with us called Amma and the Lost Key, which you can see on the bookshelf. Absolutely amazing. Everything just skyrocketed, snowballed. She was on Sky TV last Wednesday, and they brought on a surprise guest, Alicia Dixon, who has been singing her praises all week on her Instagram stories. So, first of all, who am I? If you're just meeting me for the first time, I'm an award-winning publisher and author. I've written and published 9 books now. I've published over 300 authors' books. I've mentored over, the numbers have changed. I've mentored more than 250 authors, way more than that. I've helped to acquire mass and viral media coverage for our 8-year-old author on ITV, Channel 5, BBC, Radio London, Good Morning America, Breakfast Television, The Kelly Clarkson Show, and Sky TV, and many more. I've had my book in the front window of Waterstones. I've helped authors to get into their books into bookstores. I've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, which means I am persistent, which is one of the tips. And I've got to the top. I first got into writing from a very young age, from 4 years old. I always said I wanted to be an author. I wrote my first comedy play at 17, featuring Gina Yashray and Richard Blackwood, comedians. It was a college play. Absolutely loved it. I've been shortlisted for Channel 4's Coming Up scheme as a writer. So before I was working as an author and publisher, I worked in film and television. As a filmmaker and writer. I used to be a filmmaker, as I said, and I've had my films featured at the Pan-African Film Festival, Chicago Film Festival, and BAM Kids, Chicago Children's Film Festival, and BAM Kids Festival in New York. These are just a few things about me. Published 9 books, my latest book being 9 Days of Piper's Snow. I have a very amazing, committed and dedicated team, very creative, very individual. I have a team of editors, typesetters, digital animators, branding and design experts. I have my lovely events manager as well and web developer. All these people are an integral part of the Conscious Dreams team. So these are just some of my core team members. I believe that if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. That's an African proverb. And it just really embodies to me the importance of having a key, core, dedicated team. We offer workshops, publishing and mentoring services, book strategy calls, because there's no point in having a book if you don't have a strategy to get it out there. You don't want it sitting on an Amazon or Barnes and Noble shelf doing nothing. And we also work with young authors. How did I start out? I published my first book in 2014, feels like a very long time ago, called Mr. Wrong. I'm going to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing. I was learning as I went along. I didn't know I was going to have all these opportunities coming to me. I found people were contacting me to go on their radio stations. I had a feature in the Mail Online. I was in the Voice paper. And I realized that there was so much more to publishing a book. It isn't about just the publishing of the book. It's about building the brand. It's about selling your story and sharing your expertise and marketing and promoting and getting press coverage for your book. Okay, so meet Tiana Rose. She was the 8-year-old I was telling you about. She wrote a book called My Afro. She came to us when she was 7 with 6 amazing ideas. I said, my afro is the one. She had a story behind that. It was when she was young, she says, even though she was 7. So when she was 5, one of the boys in her class made a mean comment to her about her hair. Nobody else in the class had an afro, and it made her feel really bad about herself and ashamed. She didn't want to wear her hair out in an afro again. So she decided that she was going to write a book to change the narrative, to inspire and empower little Black girls with afros, to make them feel good about themselves, to reaffirm positive identity. But more than that, she wanted to celebrate our differences and our similarities and bring people together and celebrate diversity. Her book has done amazingly well. She sold over 700 copies on pre-order before it was out, which is now more than 1,500. I don't know what the figure is now, but this was a year ago. She had mass media coverage. I became her agent for a while, I think. She was in the Metro. She got to be on the Kelly Clarkson Show. Oh, that's the video. If you want to watch the video, it's on my YouTube channel. If you just go to press coverage, book journey mentor is my handle. So that's Kelly Clarkson there. If you Google Tiana, this is what comes up. She's been in Ebony Magazine, Belfast, Telegram, The Mirror, My London, all of these places, mass and worldwide. She is absolutely amazing. Isis Damali is another one of our young authors. At 8 years old, she published a book called Isis Meets Isis. She had a beautiful interview on Global News podcast. Absolutely beautiful interview. A radio station. And then, as I said, Sarah Keto's had mass viral international coverage with her book Amma and the Lost Key, even getting to meet Alicia Dixon, who I hope she'll get to meet in person one day very soon. And again, if you Google Sarah, you'll see all of her press interviews come up here. And that's what I want for you as an author. I know Helen Snape is watching. I hope you're still watching. It's not just children that I work with, but I find that, when I get into it, we'll be talking about slant, we'll be talking about angles and stories. Children at the moment are having a very successful time getting media coverage. But I also have a range of amazing non-fiction authors that I've worked with, helping them to get press coverage. I helped Debbie to get press coverage for her book in Lifestyle People. I think that was a Yorkshire Post. Helen Snape, who is one of our authors, Drop the Fake Smile. She secured this press coverage herself in the Woking News and Mail. And then we have Lisa Sabaniak, author of Survivor to Warrior, who's had a radio interview at BBC Kent. So what is PR, first of all? PR is, and this is taken from an introduction to public relations, ipr.org.uk. I like to cite my information because it's not my words. So PR is the way organizations, companies, and individuals communicate with the public and media. A PR specialist communicates with the target audience directly or indirectly through media with an aim to create and maintain a positive image and create a strong relationship with the audience. So PR really is all about connection. It's all about creating that strong relationship with the audience and getting visibility for you, your services, your story, your expertise. In this case, it would be your book, which again, off the back of that would be your story, who you are, getting people to understand what your mission and your vision is with your book. So 9 ways to get great press coverage. I hope you have your pens ready and you're writing down some notes. Most of you are authors watching, so I know that you are going to be getting these notes written down. My first one is find the story. Before you do anything, really sit with you, yourself, your book, or your service. Find the story. So whenever I work with authors, one of the questions I always ask them is, what is your why? Partly because I'm really nosy and I like to understand and know the person behind writing the book. People don't just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to write, you know, a load of poems like Alison, for example, downloads from heaven, or I'm going to write a book about my life story. There's a reason behind it. So what's your angle? Just contacting a radio station and saying, I've got a book, it won't cut it. There's millions, tens of thousands. I'd love to know how many books there are in total. There are so many books in the world. What makes you different? What is your story? What is your angle? So with Tiana, for example, her angle was she was bullied for having an afro when she was young. Now she wants to empower young Black girls to feel good about themselves and reaffirm positive identity. Sarah's story is that she loves writing. She loves word building. She loves creating narratives, but the story behind that is she's passionate about helping others. She's such a kind girl. She literally donates all of the money she gets from the sales of her book, as I said, to 2 companies, Centrepoint and her local church, which goes towards directly supporting homeless people in Croydon. So the story in the paper isn't her book. The story is her reason for writing the book. Yes, she loves writing, and it was her idea, by the way, to donate all the money to charity. She wanted to find another way to create something where she could give back. Building the schools. I keep saying building the schools. The schools are already there. Building the libraries, refurbishing the libraries in Ghana, where she's from, is her story. Helen, because I'm picking on you because I know that you're watching. What was your angle when you got your press in? The press for your book, Drop the Fake Smile. What was your story? Why did you write your book? So what is the hook? Again, the hook is literally, think about a fishing world. What's going to get them in? You can't be contacting agents, can't be contacting journalists and saying, I've written a book. What's the hook? What's going to get them in? How can you get them their interest? And that hook's going to be there either in the email title or the first few lines. Why should people care? So these are 3 things to really think about before you even start contacting press at all. Number 2 is choose the right time. Sometimes you may not hear back from journalists, or maybe you don't get any response at all. Because it's not the right time, not because your story isn't great, it's because it's not the right time. They might have a story coming out that's similar. Maybe there's other things that they're covering that's going on in the world. So ask yourself, what's happening in the world right now? What's sort of dominating the news? What trends are going on? What's happening socially, economically, globally? And how does your book fit in that puzzle? One that I love is what national holidays are coming up. I'm laughing because I've got a book called 9 Days of Piper Snow, which you can probably see right here. And people who know me know it's about a pigeon. You tell no word of a lie. The pigeon is actually on my windowsill right now. Luckily, he's being quiet. Praise the Lord. But the book is about, it does have themes around grief. So when I was contacting press, Grief Awareness Month, I think, is in October. So that's a really great time to, pitch to media outlets as I've got a book, and it helps young people talk about grief, explore their feelings of grief awareness. So this national holiday is a great time for that book. But when I was looking for press, it'd gone past that time, and it was January. And I was looking at all the national holidays. I was like, right, what national holidays are coming up that I can tie 9 Days of Piper Snow in? And you know that there's national holidays for everything and anything now. There's actually a National Bird Box Building Day. I thought that was a bit of a stretch to try and contact the Guardian and say, hey, you know, as it's National Bird Box Building Day, please feature my book in blah, blah, blah. So going off on a bit of a tangent there, you get the idea. What national holidays are coming up? What are the themes of your book? And how does that tie into what is going on in the world right now? How is it current? Also, there's something called an editorial and features list or editorial and features calendar. You can find this often on their website, so at the back of the magazines, or you can contact the editor. You can find the contact details on the back usually, and you can ask. You know, they plan in advance. They're not just kind of getting pressed the day before and throwing it in there. There's everything has a plan, so they know by September exactly what they're going to be, the pieces that are going to be going out in December. So if you want a winter piece, if you're going for these bigger places, you want to really be pitching in September. So they know what each month, what kind of themes they're looking for each month. So you can ask, or you can find the editorial and forward features calendar. So we've got Helen here saying, I'm going to highlight your comment. She's saying she wrote the book because people pleasing slowly kills you, leads to burnout in work and life. And I want to tell people all about boundaries that help you avoid that. And that's a really clear message that you have throughout your whole book. Your book is actually on my other bookshelf, so I can't get up and hold it up. But yeah, and I know that that comes from your own personal experience. You know, a lot of people who are coaches, who work in health and wellness, for example, don't just kind of fall into it because it's something to do. It's because of usually their own life experience and things that they've overcome. And so that is the story. That is what hooks people in. And then from there, you know, with your qualifications and everything that you do, you can then start sharing your services and expertise alongside that story in all in one article. Excellent. Okay, so let's move on. Number 3 is be personal. So let's say you found the story, you have chosen the right time, and you're ready to start firing off those emails. The worst thing you can do is send out blank emails to everybody, you know, dear the sun, or dear the mirror, or, you know, hey there, I don't know, you know, find the name. Names are so important. I spend ages looking for names, and it pays off. It's worth it. You know, it's a lot of this information is readily available if you look enough. If you go to most online newspapers or magazines, go to the contact page, you can find that there's different editors for different areas: sport, entertainment, lifestyle. Find the right name for you. If maybe you just find a name, perhaps you can, through looking at the different articles, find an article that's has similar themes or the similar genre as your story. For example, if it's lifestyle, try and find out the name. If there's no email addresses, try and find out the name of that journalist. Listen, we have technology. We have, you know, Google, we have Twitter. Social media is brilliant. Unless they've got like a name like, you know, John Davis, you can still search them, put in the first name, second name, and the name of the magazine that they've written for, or even a title of an article they've written, and guaranteed 99.9% of the time you're going to be able to find their email address or their Twitter handle somewhere. For example, when I was getting some media press for Sarah, I did exactly that. I went to the newspaper, I looked at the back, I couldn't find any contact details, but I found a name. When you've got a name, you can do a lot. Went onto Twitter. Don't use Twitter a lot, but it's really good for finding people. Especially journalists, went onto Twitter, put her name in, and then I tweeted her. I put together a piece about Sarah, said how amazing she was, and said, you know, I think this would be a great story for you, or I'd love you to cover this. I can't remember the exact words. And then she came back to me immediately and said, brilliant, you know, this is an amazing story. Here's my email. Drop me a message. So I sent her a message. I sent her Sarah's press release information. And this was on a Sunday. This is on a Saturday evening. I didn't expect a reply until the Monday. Sunday night, she'd printed. They're quick. She printed the piece, and that's how BBC and other outlets picked up on it. Another way that I was found was through another journalist. So just while we're here, and this is probably going to skip to one of the other ones, but I think it's important to say the reason Tiana in the beginning got really huge was because I was using social media and being consistent with it. Now, I was found on my least to use social media, which is Twitter. If you follow me on there, I don't really feel like I've got many friends there. I feel like I'm speaking into the air, but that's where I was found. Somebody found me and said, I love the work you're doing. I'd love to interview you and a few of your authors. This is 2 years ago. And we had a Zoom meeting. I brought Tiana along and I brought another one of my authors. She wrote an article, which went through the newswire, which means that if anybody, you know, independent, any paper reads the article and they like it, they will then republish that. And that's how it got the viral news, international news. And it just went off from there. And I've maintained that relationship with this particular journalist. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later because that's touching on another one of the 9 ways. But going back to being personal, find the name, establish a relationship. Everything is about relationships. Everything creates a connection. When you're addressing a letter to somebody, you know, using their name, it creates that connection. It makes them feel like a person. They get so many pictures and so many emails a day. You know, you're reading one that just says, "Dear the Sun," you're more likely to scroll on or to click for the next email. Okay. All right. So number 4 is do your research. This is really key. Doesn't mean go spying on them and try and add them on their private accounts, but find out, what does that person like? And you can see that through the articles that they write. What kind of articles do they write? What kind of genres that interest them? Maybe, you know, you can go in their Twitter and see what they're talking about. Engage, get involved. What kind of brands do they like? What are they looking for? There is no point in pitching a lifestyle piece to somebody who writes about, I don't know, what's completely different to lifestyle. Finance. You know, you find out what they write about and make sure what you're sending is in alignment. Otherwise, it's a waste of both of your times. So research. Recapping. Number 1 was, who could tell me what was number 1? Points. Number 1 was, what's your story? Number 2 was choose the right time or find the right time. Number 3 was be personal. Number 4 is do your research. Number 5 is innovative email title. Just think, my chair's going down. There you go. Just think, these journalists get emails upon emails upon emails upon emails. Make it interesting for them. Make it fun. Okay. Think of an innovative email title. Oh dear, I'm trying to think of some of mine. I think a really sad one I wrote was Mr. Wrong in Name of Paper, the book, not the man. Another one was, well, this is an interesting one. When I got the Daily Mail piece in 2015, I had done, you know, one of the steps. I found an article in the Daily Mail about written by a woman who had written about another self-published author who had written a book about relationships. Okay, great. So now I know that this journalist writes about this sort of thing. Then I found out her email address, easy to find out. And I gave the first title that I gave her in my subject header was first name, second name of the journalist. I loved your article, Why Do Men Cheat? That was the name of the article. This had an open rate. She opened that within literally half an hour and responded. And I had been writing to journalists, blank emails, you know, Mr. Wrong in the Sun or whatever, nothing. And that email title, you know, clicked, opened. Why do you think she opened that one? Why would that appeal to her? I just want to know if anyone has any answers. As I'm waiting for any answers, just make sure that your email title is clear. Not too long, not rambly. Keep it clear. Make it catchy. Make it funny, humor, or unless it's not funny. Try and make it interesting, attention grabbing. Make it personal. Use you if you want to directly appeal to them. For example, when I wrote, my email title was first name, second name. I loved your article, Why Do Men Cheat? Be creative. It was intriguing because you appealed to her ego. Well, that wasn't quite how I was going to put it, but Marva, you are exactly right. I appealed to her ego. I directly addressed her. I made it personal. She didn't know who I was. I could have been a commissioner. I could have been somebody who's looking for a journalist to write, the next big article in my newspaper or magazine or whatever. So I'm flattering her. I'm saying, I love your title. I'm showing interest. I've done my research. So it creates that connection. It's all about connection, or as Marva said, ego. So she opened that. Helen says, you showed you were interested in her and what she had to say. Exactly. Don't we all want to feel heard, seen, and understood, and that people are interested in what we have, in what we had to say? If I had run this webinar and no one came on, obviously it would be a bit of a blow to my ego. I'd still, create an amazing presentation as best I can, but people want people to be interested and to show up. It's human nature. It must have been intriguing. Yes, exactly. Okay, brilliant. So number 5 is innovative email title. As a little bit of a challenge, what I want you to do is think about your book, and maybe if you think about something, please do write down an innovative email title just for fun. What kind of email titles can you write for your subject header? One of my email titles when it came to 9 Days of Piper's Snow was, what was it? White Pigeon. What was it? White Pigeon wasn't stalks author. White Pigeon visits author daily and ends up a character in a book. Or ends up as a children's book character, something like that. It's just different. If I saw that, I think, what the heck is this? Why is someone writing to me about a white pigeon? And how is this white pigeon assisting this author? Or white pigeon in Croydon helps local author write a book. Those ones got pretty good, quick open rates, and probably think I'm a bit of a nutter at the same time as well. Maybe I am. Moving on, number 6. Who, what, and why. These things are really, really important. I'm an English teacher as well. I actually come back from doing a day of teaching, key stage 4 English, and always drumming in, whatever you're reading, whatever you're doing, think about those questions: who, what, why. Yeah. So when you're pitching, they just want to know, first of all, who are you? What are you doing? Why should they care? If you can get that across really quickly in a short paragraph, because journalists, if you have conversations with journalists, I find they're always very fast. The shorter the words, shorter amount of words, the better. They must be very busy people. So who are you? What are you doing? Why should they care? If you can get that across, even just in a tagline or the first 2 sentences of your pitch, brilliant. Who, what, where, and why. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see. I've got some email titles. So Helen Snape for Drop the Fake Smile is saying, why saying no more often will get promoted? Okay. Why often saying no? There we go. I haven't read it with the right tone. Why saying no more often will get you promoted? Okay. Nice. I like that, because that will make me want to know, well, surely saying no is letting people down, and maybe I'm not giving people what they want to hear. How the heck is that going to get me promoted? So making a bold statement, that could work. Tukumba, are you using Gorilla Glue on your wallet instead of your... I need to hear more from you, Tukumba. I'm intrigued. I want to know, what the heck have you written? What is this? I mean, I know what you do. Are you using Gorilla Glue on your wallet instead of your hair? Brilliant. It's reminded me of didn't a girl have an unfortunate accident with Gorilla Glue on her hair? I get the sense that you're talking about how to be frugal with your money and how to budget. Am I correct? Let me know. If so, you've kind of got across very quickly in a very interesting elevator pitch, actually, what your book is about. Okay. Number 7 is press release. So at Constant Streams Publishing, we write press releases. In fact, I write the press releases. As a writer, I love finding the story, and I really enjoy that aspect of writing an engaging press release to really help people to get that press that they deserve. What is a press release, first of all? Why is it important? It's like a professional CV for your book. It has all the information about you, your book, who you are, what's going on, what the story is in one place. It should not be any more than one page. You want a clear one pager, no waffle, get to the point. All right, so on the right hand side are just some pointers how to set your press release out. It doesn't have to be like this. I mean, I don't always put release date and all of this information at the top. I kind of crack straight into the press release. So you have the paragraph, which is your introduction. Get the 5 W's in: who, what, where, why, when. A little bit about you at the bottom. Just try and pick up the most interesting things. Think about what the story is behind you and your book. And then obviously your contact details as well on that press release. I've found in the past when I've sent a press release, a lot of media outlets have just used my press release as their piece, and written by them, but written by me, which is great, because then you have the control over what's being said, what the story is, what the information is. You can try and get some quotes in there as well. So sometimes I write it as if it is an article. So with Sarah, with most of the authors, actually, I'll have a quote in. So Sarah says X, Y, and Z, maybe about the inspiration behind the book, and they can just be little snippets that they lift and they take. Most journalists will interview you and obviously write their own, but bear in mind, some people might just use your press release, the exact words you've written, and just bam it and throw it out there. Number 8 is be consistent and follow up. It's easy to, contact a journalist, not get a reply, and then all your insecurities and negative belief systems kick in, and you're like, oh, I should never have sent that. Who am I to have sent that? Let me just crawl back under that rock. Or, I'm not deserving, or, I'm not worthy of having press. No, don't fall into that lie. Don't fall into that trap. You just have to be consistent. As I said, sometimes it's not the right time. Journalists are really busy people. They're always looking for the next story, but their inboxes seem to be really full all the time, because whenever I hear from any journalists, that's what they're saying. So just be consistent. Don't take it personal. If you believe that you've got a great story, you've got a great book, and you've set your heart on getting press coverage, just keep going. Be consistent. Like I said, I'm on Twitter. I don't really have much interaction there, but I use something called Buffer. There's also Hootsuite as well, where you can schedule all of your social media posts in advance. I do that for all of my social media accounts, and so I add Twitter to that as well. So even though I'm not personally active on there as I am on Facebook, I still have content going out, so it's consistent. And it's that consistency that allowed me to be seen by the journalist who I now have a very good relationship with, and can get have had some amazing viral international press through that channel. And that's by being consistent on a social media platform that I didn't really have any connections with. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's seeing your stuff. So follow up, but don't harass. What's the difference? Following up is not messaging, within 24 hours. Did you get my message? I sent you a message yesterday. or I sent you a message a few hours ago, just checking, just bumping it up to the top of your email list. Don't do that. Give them, a week or 2 weeks. I normally give it about 10 days, and then I might follow up and give them an extra snippet. Just follow up. There's nothing wrong with following up. Sometimes it's that they haven't seen it or they're busy. Again, it's not the right time. Their world is a very fast-paced world, so keep going, be consistent, keep that communication going, and don't give up hope. We have Sarah Keto on. Yay! Sarah says, I think it's Sarah's mum, Danni Blechner, you are very good at following up, and consistency #1. Exactly. You have to be consistent. You do. I can't stress how important that is. Again, like I said, even if you feel no one's watching, keep going with it. Keep doing what you're doing. You don't know who is watching and when is going to be your lucky break. Number 9, as we're coming to an end, before we get to the Q&A, and I've saved what I feel like is the most important till last, not just when it comes to PR or gaining press coverage. I think in life in general, foster relationships. Everything is relationships. Everything is about connection. It's all about relationships. I chose that image there on the right hand side because what it looks like to me, or maybe it's not. You tell me what you see, because now I'm seeing different things. Looks like a little tiny man looking up. But what I thought it was, or what it could be, is like a stem of some kind of plant. So I imagine that to be, hey there, I imagine that to be a seed. So when you're connecting to anybody, actually, but when you're connecting to a journalist, imagine it like a seed. You're planting a seed in the ground and you're creating a connection. If you have a good and positive experience, because they're in a job, they want to publish a good article. They want to be the first one to find the story. They want, other outlets to pick up their work and to also share it. They want to do well. They're like us. We're authors. We want our writing to be appreciated and valued. They want their articles to be appreciated and valued. They're establishing themselves as writers as well. So create that connection, get to know your journo, and let that relationship blossom from that seed into a beautiful whatever you want it to be, flower, tree. Follow them on social media, interact, get involved, see what articles they're publishing. If they're great, retweet them on Twitter as well, give them some props. And most importantly, thank them. I thank my team every time we publish a book. I name them. Thank whoever has published that article, because they deserve the credit as well for finding the story, for getting you out there. And you're not just connecting to them for a one-off piece, unless you just kind of want to write a book and then you just carry on doing something completely different for the rest of your life. You want to foster that relationship because, there's going to be another book or maybe another story or another service or another event that you're doing. So foster that relationship, and you're not going to have to work so hard to write, a letter with a press release and all of this stuff that's important, but you're not working so hard. You want to get to the stage where you can say, like, hi, X, Y, and Z, how are you doing? Got a great story, working with an amazing author. Take a look. What do you think? Have you got space? Have you got time? And that's it. So those relationships are really, really important. So my aim is to do this in 45 minutes. I've done it in exactly 45 minutes, 5 seconds. They are 9 ways to create, keep saying create, 9 ways to get great press for your book. Now is the time for any question and answers. Does anyone have any questions to ask me? I hope that was helpful for you. Let me know. So if anyone has any questions around getting press for their work, for their book, please do throw those up. I would also love to hear how you found this training, Is this a training? It's a training, isn't it? How did you find this? Was it helpful? What did you find most helpful? That would be amazing. Just let me know in the comments. Okay, thanks, Helen. That was helpful. Ali, that was helpful. Hey, Pastor Tunji, another book coach, is saying well done for all you've done. Thank you so much. Hey, Jacqueline. So yeah, any questions around press? Any questions around any of the tips that I've given? What did you find most interesting? And as I'm waiting for any questions to be thrown up, I want to take the time to thank you. You could have been anywhere on this Thursday evening. And I'm offering their free 20-minute consultations now. 20-minute consultations. You can hit me up at www.consciousdreamspublishing.com, which you can see here. You can check out our services, go to our contact page, go to our young author page, see the work we're doing with young authors. Check out our book strategy calls as well. I also have a new service called Ask the Expert. So whether you've published through us, maybe you're publishing yourself and you just need a little bit of tweaking, maybe need some technical help on KDP, who doesn't, or Ingram Spark, you can also hit me up and book me for an Ask the Expert call. So I do half-an-hour slots, and there you go, half-an-hour slots and 1-hour slots. Maybe you just want to DM me and let me know what your issue is, and I'll let you know whether it takes 30 minutes or an hour, and we can work on that before you decide which Ask the Expert service you want. Dean says, thank you. That was really insightful, really clearly broken down with digestible information and great slides. Thank you so much, Dean. Please, everyone, follow Dean Atta. He is amazing. He's doing some brilliant things in the literary world. Spoken word poet. He's like, why are you telling people? Spoken word poet, author. He said some really good traditional. I think you've got a traditional publishing deal as well. Shout out to Dean Atta. So keep going. Oh, there's a question. Marva says, have you found any circumstances why press tried to twist your story to fit another narrative? Oh, interesting. I think I have, Marva. So I'll share this story. Let me take this. How do I get rid of these slides? Remove from stage. Okay, so Marva's asking if I found circumstances where press tried to twist your story to fit another narrative. That has happened, and I'm going to tell you the instance and how I dealt with it. So everyone knows anyway. So we have a young author called Isis. She wrote a book called Isis Meets Isis. She was only 8 or 7 when she wrote it. For her, Isis is about the goddess Isis, celebrating the goddess Isis, and it's about having pride in her name. The book is about ancient Kemet, Egypt, and about having pride in your name. So the BBC contacted me, and so if I sell this as a webinar, it will cut before. So BBC contacted me and said, we'd love to interview your author. And cut a long story short, they were, kept asking, can we mention the terrorist group? And I said, well, no, because that's not what her name is. I established very clearly what her name meant, and it's a positive affirmation of her name and who she is. She has no idea what this group is. They did the interview. It's a beautiful interview. And then after that, contacted me again, very apologetic, but insisted, the producer had said, because of the nature of, our audience, will need to clarify the mother. Maybe we can ask the mother separately, to make it really clear that she has not been named after this terrorist group. Well, no, again, in the Black community, ISIS is a well-known name. That doesn't have those connotations for us. Maybe it's a chance for you to educate your audience rather than, have to address something that the book isn't about. And I was very, very passionate, and it was very important for me to protect our young author. I'm very protective, very my instincts come out. I said no, and they said, well, we're gonna have to pull the interview if we can't kind of get that statement. And I said, well, I wrote an email, should we say, saying it's really important to embrace fresh voices and to understand a different perspective. And maybe it's a chance for you to, and just express how disappointed I felt, but we're going to have to pull the interview because my concern is protecting a young person and not making we don't know where this is going to go. We don't want her story to become something that's negative, because the book is about, celebrating who she is as a young Black girl with a name called Isis. And eventually we won. And so I actually wrote the intro to that particular interview. So no, I didn't write it. I half wrote it. My mum also got involved and then wrote it a little bit. So we established that Goddess Isis is the goddess of fertility. I can't remember the exact words, but it was a lovely opening, and we won. So the clearer you are about your mission and your vision and your why, and just not compromising your values and making sure that you're accepting things that are in alignment with you is important, because sometimes, you know, press or people, whatever organizations might want to try and, you know, create a different slant, and you've just got to really be strong in who you are. So that's my answer to that. Want to update my children's books to change fonts and layout. How do I go about it? So come back, drop me a message, let me know. If you have, it's a technical thing really. If you have the InDesign files, which would be your raw file of your book, we have typesetters who can do that for you easily. They can change the font, change the layout. You can work with them and then re-upload those book files. So it's a technical thing that can easily be done. Okay, so I think that is it. Thank you everybody so much for joining. I've had a really lovely Thursday evening actually. So you know where to find me. Social media, mainly at Conscious Dreams Publishing. Have an absolutely beautiful evening. Thank you for joining me. Bye.